I mean?
It's definitely there.
Yeah. Now, I mean, it's on there. Like, I'm on it, but I think she is on one of the other ones.
I don't think there was another one, though, that showed up. It was.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
It
never got to Facebook, and that's why.
Oh, okay.
That's why
I was on
behind.
it every time.
That's where we're behind.
Yeah, but I was on it every single time you were doing it. I was on it. Restarted it like
But I
4
only
times.
did it once.
Oh, dude, I don't know what I was watching, dude. I was in like some sort of
I
Matrix.
have no idea.
Call me Neo, dude.
At all. Ooh, hey, it's Wednesday night. It's February 12th.
February 12th.
It's 8:07 p.m.
Almost Valentine's Day, dude.
Valentine's? Did you say Valentine's?
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
I think Pete is the only person I know that says Valentine's Day.
He also says mind smacks.
He does say that. Oh,
Yeah. Tyler, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Not really into this cold snap we had again.
It's almost March.
It is.
It's almost March.
Is March the one that goes in like a lamb and out like a lion or whatever?
Or the other way.
Is that March or May?
Maybe it comes in like a lamb and just stays lambish.
Lambish.
May is April showers bring May flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, with global warming and climate change and all that, the flowers don't start to grow till at least late June.
Yeah, dude, and it's warm until like Thanksgiving, but it'll be fine, dude.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be no big deal.
I mean, think of all them melting glaciers. We'll have a shitload of Icelandia water.
Oh, yeah, it'll be great.
Or whatever that water is that they get melted glacier water from,
It'll be great.
There's a bunch of good ones out there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Dasani is some really good water.
That's the worst water on the planet. Dude, you don't even like Dasani. We figured that out, remember?
Yeah, but
I designed a battery of elaborate tests.
You did.
And
we determined that I do not.
That you hate.
Despite it being the water that I purchase.
You don't even buy it anymore. There's still a case in there from before the test.
Yeah, I'm definitely on that
now you
body armor water stuff
and
now.
the Evian.
That's
your favorite, dude.
Fiji's the best. When I'm feeling fancy, I get myself a Fiji.
Fiji's the best. Best water out there.
Yeah, I agree. So you doing well?
Yeah.
How's that little turd of yours?
She's being a turd. That's what she's doing. Yeah. She every night before bed we develop like these little routine things, So like she'll stand on my stomach and then I'll make her do something and then I'll like say and like throw her onto the bed and she thinks it's the funnest thing ever.
Yeah.
Well, like she won't do anything unless it's that time of night. Like you'll be like randomly during the day, be like point, and she won't do shit. and then she's standing there. I'm like point. She goes, and I'm like okay, cool. And then I'm like try to get her to do something else, and she's like just looking at me like I'm the idiot, And she's like, just tell me on the bed already. I pointed, okay. But yeah, she's doing good. She's doing good. Growing like a weed.
Good.
Growing like a weed.
Well,
gets her big girl bed next
tonight.
Week.
We have an extra special guest tonight. It is an epic night.
Epic night.
So we've been doing this podcast for over 5 years now. 5 years and almost 3 months now. That's what? 63 months.
Whew, that's a lot.
It's good math.
It's a lot of months.
Solid right there on the spot skills.
That's pretty good.
Didn't plan that.
Pretty good.
And I finally managed to get the guest on here that I've been most excited to get since we started this podcast. Tonight he's here. He's right next to me in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who just completed the World Marathon Challenge, and we'll get into what that is here momentarily. My younger brother. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Corey Burton. What's up, Corey?
Listen, I'm really glad to be here, but you guys never told me what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You guys never told me what to do with my. So I think I'm just going to keep them in my pocket.
Yeah, okay. Well, you got one hand in your pocket.
Get knife hands going.
And the other one is,
and also in your pocket.
Also in my pocket.
Yeah. Right on, dude. Dude, awesome to finally have you here.
Awesome to be here. Glad to.
I have this whole podcast studio, and you've never been here, and now you're here. It's a good night.
It's like studio number 3.
Dude, studio number 3.
Studio number one was a blast.
Yeah, but that was the one you didn't want to come to.
Yeah.
Like that was.
Come to that one?
Huh?
Why didn't I want to come to that one?
Lots of debauchery.
That was wild and out.
Oh,
dude.
that's
lots of debauchery.
That was wild and out.
Yeah.
Lots of things.
Like Nick Cannon almost came on there. It was wild and out so much, dude.
Lots of debauchery. Things that maybe were questionable that we put on the internet at one point that should have never been put on the internet.
Well,
Yeah, just lots of drinking.
heard it both ways.
And we still get that stigma, like where it's like, oh yeah, they drink a lot on Mind Snacks. We haven't drank a lot on Mind Snacks in a few years.
Yeah, really.
It's been a few years.
Yeah, really.
Like I got zero sugar Pepsi.
Drinking
over
water,
here.
dude.
I got cherry Pepsi. Now I guess I am a little wild. I got zero sugar cherry
Dude,
Pepsi.
okay, the
tonight.
zero cherries are pretty. I'm on zero Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper Zero is good.
I like it better than regular Dr. Pepper now.
I was talking today. Dr. Pepper Zero, Coke Zero, Pepsi. Like I like the zero sugars.
Yeah, I think
where
they
it's at.
I don't know. Yeah, when I drink sugar now, it just makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
Which I mean, all the fake stuff probably should make me feel bad too. But here we are.
It should. It doesn't, but it should. And it will one day. There'll be a study that comes out and says,
If you
"Oh
drink
yeah,
Dr. Pepper Zero.
zero sugar pops are going to give you guys early onset Alzheimer's."
Well,
I'm
I think they pretty much all have aspartame in them, which is no good anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What even is aspartame?
Some kind of sweet.
it's an artificial
Like
sweetener.
an
Yeah.
artificial
But like
sweetener,
what? Like, I mean, if it's artificial, it's a sweetener, right? It's sweet, right?
Right.
So I mean, it's technically just a sweetener at that point.
I mean, sugar's not artificial, but it's obviously the sweetener of all sweeteners.
The sweetener of all. Well, like they have like that good stuff now. What, monk fruit sweetener? Isn't that supposed to be like really good for you? It's like derived from a fruit, but it's like not cane sugar kind of.
I've heard of it. I don't know if it's actually good for you though. I'm not sure.
I
Well,
think
I'm going to wait on the government to tell me.
I don't know, dude. I don't know if I wait on them for much. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, "Hey, yeah, it's totally good." 10
Right.
years down the road, there's an infomercial at 3 a.m.
Well, so here's the thing.
if you
though.
drink monk fruit,
There's so many independent studies though out there.
That's
where
it.
people are just like they'll just throw it out and it'll be viral because people want to latch on to ideas. But the thing we're going to latch on to tonight is the accomplishment that my brother Corey Burton here just completed last Thursday.
world record.
Yeah, you guys broke a world record, right?
We did. Yeah, the group collectively broke a world record in that every competitor finished the challenge in less than 6 days. I can't remember what the exact breakdown was as far
I
as
think it was like 146 hours, right?
146, 143. It's like 143. Yeah, like 143 hours. I
Yeah.
think somewhere around there. Less than 6 days. So collectively, the group ran the fastest edition of the World Marathon Challenge that has ever been run. So
That's
pretty impressive.
absolutely.
So you guys like
Amazing,
all your
dude.
names going to be listed in that? Like go down in infamy or whatever they say.
So I don't know if they'll list everybody individually. It might just be something along the lines of like the 2025 class or
Oh,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That'd be a lot of names to list.
Yeah.
Sure. How many people? Because I know it started at 66, but I don't think 66 ran.
So I think it ended up being 62 runners total, and I want to say the breakdown. So there were about 52 or 53 runners that completed the full marathon challenge, and then 9 or 10 or so that completed the half marathon challenge.
Okay.
So, and I want to say there were 25 Americans, and I want to say 21 countries represented.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So they did a full and a half marathon. Okay. Yeah.
So you had the option to do that. To do the half marathon as
Yeah.
well.
I didn't know that.
Very,
I'd
very
be
cool.
more of like a half guy myself.
Yeah.
Quarter marathon, if you will.
So talk about just the World Marathon Challenge. I know you've probably done a little research on the history of it and Run Buck as a company that put it on. You know what I mean? Let's talk about that real quick before we get into it.
Yeah, so the World Marathon Challenge started back in 2015. It is actually the brainchild of a gentleman from Ireland named Richard Donovan. He put on the first challenge, actually I believe he did it for the first time solo before he started putting on organized events in 2015. And so he kind of did it. It started out very slow. I want to say the first year they did it in 2015, there might have been like 15 people that did it. And I think from there it's just grown exponentially from there. There have been a couple years since 2015 where they didn't run an edition of it. I think COVID affected one of those years. 2024 they did not run one because they were in the process of switching over to Run Buck. Run Buck was in the process of taking it over.
Cool.
So there was one back in 2023, not in 2024, and then 2025. This was the first year that Run Buck actually organized the entire event.
And how'd they do? Like how did all that go down? Did everything was? I mean, obviously it was smooth. You got it done. With I think 26 hours to spare before the 168.
Yeah, something crazy like that. I got to be honest. I thought that I was good at organizing things.
Yeah.
I thought that I was good at traveling. I thought that I knew logistics. I have never seen anything like this. I don't know what they have done to sort of establish these networks all over the world to make it possible for them to put this on in the way that they did it. These are some of the smartest people when it comes to logistics and travel and organization that I've ever been around. it was insane. Like everywhere we went, we had designated ticket counter. It was like, oh, you guys are here for the World Marathon Challenge. Come on over here. It even seemed like every trip through customs was smooth. We all, tended to go through customs and passport control in each of the locations as a group. And it was just a smooth process all the way through. It's like they knew we were coming. They knew Run Buck. And it could not have been more seamless. It was
That's crazy.
very, very impressive.
It's crazy. And
I mean, you think of the pool you have to like make that happen, right?
Well,
like,
yeah, exactly.
Like customs and stuff like that's not an easy bear to wrestle.
yeah, and even if you have everything together, the logistical miracle that you guys pulled
Yeah.
off anyway, pulling it off, period,
Timing
is a
big thing.
logistical
Yeah.
miracle.
Yes.
And-
In and of itself, and to do it as smoothly. And you're talking about many different countries. I mean, you're going to South Africa, you're going to Australia, you're going to the United Arab Emirates, Spain, and Brazil, and then ultimately back to the United States. So, I mean, you're dealing with a number of different countries and a number of different cultures, if you will, and they're able to just connect everything very, very beautifully. It's very, very impressive.
That's cool. So my perception, and of course I learned that I was wrong about this. The marathons that you guys ran were all just you guys,
That's correct.
and they were set up on courses. Was every course basically a loop?
So it was a combination of a loop and a down and back course. So it kind of just depended on where you were. In Antarctica, it was a little less like a loop and more like a triangle. But it was, I guess, kind of a loop in a sense, but more like a triangle. In Perth, it was like a 5K down and a 5K back, and
Right.
you ran like 4 of those laps. Miami was kind of set up the same way. So
Yeah.
it really just depended on where you were.
Right on.
Kind of dictated the setup.
Very cool.
Yep.
Well, I want to talk about each one of those countries individually.
Yeah.
We got some photos to share. All right, I threw some photos up on the big board. All right, it's a big night. You gotta bring it. You know what I mean?
Let's have a look.
You got to bring it. So again, what we're talking about here, guys, is the World Marathon Challenge, and it is exactly what we're saying it is. It's 7 marathons, 7 continents in a 7-day period. So literally, they ran one the next day, one day, got on a plane, got off the plane. I mean, no hotels involved in this
No.
between Cape Town and Miami.
Yeah, once we got out of Cape Town, there were no hotels. You're doing all your rest, all your recovery, and most of your meals aboard the plane. So.
Aboard an airplane.
Yep.
Which is just insane to think about.
Oh yeah.
But what we've
That's
done
wild.
here, we've kind of got. We'll just go and talk about like when you arrived at Cape Town, briefing sessions, meeting people.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was that anticipation like? Was there a lot of I don't want to say tension, but like was it an intense environment? Like you guys all knew what you were getting ready to do. Nobody knew what to expect.
Yeah, it was interesting because we all. I think the common sentiment among most of us was just that there was so much uncertainty as far as the logistics. Like none of us really knew how this was going to play out. It's one of those things that you can read about, but until you actually see it in practice, it's really hard to kind of wrap your mind around what that's going to look like. I was actually very fortunate. So my flight to Cape Town, I had a connection in Atlanta and then flew from Atlanta to Cape Town. I actually had 4 of the other runners on that flight from Atlanta to Cape Town.
Oh wow!
With me, so I had the opportunity to meet a few of them before we went over there, which is really nice. And I think it helped all of us a little bit, kind of work out some of the nerves and some of the uncertainty about the event. So that was cool. And then as far as getting over there, you sort of, it's really weird because you check into this hotel. There's like the hotel that they use for like their headquarters, that Runbuck used for the headquarters is called the Premier Hotel. And it's right there in the Sea Point district of Cape Town. And, that's where I ended up staying. That's where a lot of us ended up staying. And you kind of end up sort of, you make your way around the hotel, you go to breakfast, you go to different meals that the hotel provides, and you see people around and you think they might be there for the same reason that you are, but it's kind of like this awkward, like, I don't know, do I approach this person or are they really there? Because you don't really know anybody. Obviously, you don't really know anybody. But at the end of the day, a lot of those connections sort of end up happening organically. I mean, I think, for the most part, it was fairly obvious, who was there for.
That's why we're here.
For our purpose. So, it makes it really easy to talk to, or to talk to people.
But you had a few days to kind of tour and see South Africa or see Cape Town.
Yeah.
kind of, you went pretty early.
Yes.
To just kind of get a feel for, I mean, just to be there and see a new place.
Yeah.
You know, I know it took some time. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I wanted to get there a few days early because I didn't know, they had a day, I think it was January 28th, was like the last day they wanted us to be there. But I wanted to work in a couple extra days, not necessarily for tourism, but just to make sure that, if there were any issues with baggage or with flight delays or anything like that, I had that extra time there to kind of work through that stuff. And so, it all ended up kind of going off without a hitch, which is awesome. So yeah, I did take the time to kind of tour Cape Town a little bit. I got on one of those hop on, hop off tours over there and just kind of checked out the city.
Those are the best. I do those in every city.
Yeah.
You and I did one in Dublin, and I
Yes.
think we did Stockholm too, did we?
We did both, absolutely. And I honestly, if you go anywhere in the world, it's really the best, most efficient way to get to know a new city.
Yeah, you can do the whole loop, know a new city, and then go back through the loop again and get off in the places you want to get off and see.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely great.
Yeah, and Cape Town is beautiful, by the way. I was pleasantly surprised, but Cape Town itself is a really awesome city. I mean, it's not immune from a lot of the sort of issues that plague big cities
Sure.
in most parts of the world, but overall very, very impressive.
Nice.
The people were very, very kind, very, very hospitable, and things are actually pretty inexpensive there, which is nice.
Yeah. That's I always like traveling places like where the American dollar kind of stretches pretty far, so then you can really go like barter with things, get some cool stuff to bring home, stuff
Yes.
like that.
Yep.
Like it's just that's like my favorite part of going anywhere cool like that is
Bring home something
bring
from
home
somewhere
something
else.
cool,
Yeah,
right? Because
absolutely.
then you like look at it and you're like, yeah, I got this here and it's awesome, right? It has a story behind it.
Yep. I'll get to the comments, guys. I want to let you know we have a lot to cover tonight, and we want to get Corey's story out there. So may not always be married to the comments, but we will take a few minutes and pause for some questions. First of all, a lot of people saying, what's up? What's going on, Sven? How you doing? Jeremy Phelps. Jeremy asks, did you struggle with jet lag?
Honestly, jet lag, surprisingly, it was one of those things that I anticipated ahead of time might be an issue. But once we kind of got down to it, it was weird how even though you were crossing all these different time zones, for me, it was just kind of like, okay, go run a race, get back on the plane, get a meal, go to sleep. So no matter what time of the day it was where you landed, it always just seemed like the start of a new day today,
Right.
a new day for me. So the jet lag really wasn't as big of an issue as I thought. It became more of an issue when I came home when I was trying to readjust
Sure.
back to being a normal human on a normal sleep schedule. But
I gotta
during the
know,
trip
like,
itself,
When we went to dinner in Miami Thursday night, I was thinking about that as I was trying to stay awake. Like what time it must have felt like to you, because I knew I was exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
But like what time it must have felt like to you, or how you must feel after just been no, stop, go.
yeah.
Like,
It's weird. I think throughout the whole trip, I kind of knew what my sleep wake cycle was like, but I never really knew what day it was, to be honest.
Right.
You had to
Sure.
wake up and run and go
Yeah.
back to sleep. You're like, oh,
Yeah, like if you had asked me, is today Tuesday or Wednesday or is it the 4th or the 5th? I couldn't have told. Most of the time I couldn't have told you. I would have had to look at my phone. I didn't know. It was just like today is Perth day, today is Dubai day, and that's sort of how I measured the days
Right.
along the way.
right on. Were you able to shower?
Yes, in all of the locations except for Antarctica, we had shower facilities, and that kind of changed a little bit depending on where we were. In Antarctica, I had a whole container full of dude wipes.
oh yeah.
So yeah, give a shout out to dude wipes.
Shout out Dude Wipes. I
Yeah.
use Dude Wipes religiously.
I love them.
Big old fan.
Absolutely. And that was really the best you could do. They didn't have shower facilities in Antarctica. It was a nice little base they had set up in Antarctica. We got some hot meals. We had warm places to change and all that, but they did not have shower facilities. So you were either using baby wipes, dude wipes, something like that, just to kind of get good enough. And then the idea was once you got back to Cape Town, we still had our hotel rooms. You could kind of rinse off and then get ready for the next race. So you weren't carrying, that Antarctica gunk into the Cape Town race.
Very cool. Kyle Killinger says, hello, gentlemen. Kyle's a guy, he's ran from coast to coast,
Yes.
raising awareness for veteran suicide for Safe 22.
Excellent.
So he made the comment, he's super jealous. What you were able to do, super jelly.
Yeah.
Actually, he didn't say jelly. I said that.
You said that. I was going to say.
Super jealous. So, and something, it's funny, he brought it up to me, or he shared something about another World Marathon Challenge. And I was like, dude, my brother's getting ready to do one. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
and we'll do one more question before we get to, we're going to go deep into this race by race. How did the food change affect your run? Shout out Ben Noblet.
The food change in terms of like how it differed from my normal diet, I think maybe that's what he's getting at.
I mean, we can go there, yeah.
Okay. Well, the things I would say about the food. So I'll kind of back up for a second and say, typically when I am going to run one race, my normal routine is to get a full night's sleep. I will usually down like an entire large pizza from like Papa John's or Domino's or something like that. To get the full carb load, to get the sodium, to get the calories, to get all that stuff.
That's also why I eat whole large pizzas.
Yeah.
It's exactly why I eat whole large pizzas.
Right. But yeah, and so what was different about this experience was you just didn't have that. Now the food that they gave us on the charter flights was very, very good. They were business class meals, very, very good. But we were often it didn't feel like enough.
Right.
And so you're trying to kind of make up for that a little bit by grabbing something quick at the airports. For instance, in Madrid, we didn't have a whole lot of time. I think I ended up stopping at like this little convenience store and getting like a sandwich, and I think I downed like an entire large can of Pringles on the plane just to get some carbs and some sodium. So you end up doing things like that. In Brazil, there was a Pizza Hut in Brazil at the airport there.
He's like, give me a large.
Yeah,
Give me a large.
So I ended up ordering like 2 Supreme personal pan pizzas, and I didn't know whether I was going to be able to take any food through customs or through security or anything. So I'm like, so I get one, and I'm literally just downing it at the counter as I'm waiting for my second one to come out. And I figure, all right, if I can't take the other one through security, at least I have one
Right.
in my system.
That guy tried just
before we
staring at
take
you
off.
like, brother, you got another pizza coming. It's not that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly. And I'm sitting there just ravenously eating it. To say that I'm ravenously eating it is it's like an understatement. I basically inhaled the thing, and
Right.
they probably were like, man, when's the last time you had something to eat?
yeah.
Right. They felt bad for you.
How long have you been traveling?
So like you guys have no idea. So I mean, as far as how I would typically fuel for a race and how I sort of had to fuel for races along this journey, it was very different. You often didn't feel like you were getting enough calories, but at the same time, like everybody else was kind of going through the same thing.
Sure.
So it's kind of like, well, you just sort of just tell yourself it is what it is, and you just go forward. Yeah.
So I know I was texting with you after you finished in Dubai, and you used the same word when you text me. You said, I'm ravenously hungry.
Ravenously hungry. That's the word of the week.
And you said, I think we're stopping at a restaurant. Was that true?
So interestingly, we sort of stopped at a restaurant. So to kind of back up, so they set up the course at a what's called the Dubai Expo Center 2020, and this is basically a place like a little town that they basically made.
We'll get into Dubai, the race details in a minute, but yeah, go on.
Gotcha. So yeah, so they set it up at this Expo Center, and they opened a couple of the restaurants at this Expo Center. Well, by the time me and several others got done with the race and showered and all that, we found this place that it's like this that served like chicken nuggets. and that's all they had.
What?
That's all they had. It was like chicken. I think they had chicken sandwiches at some point, but anyway, by the time we got there, it was closed. And so I don't know what kind of deal the local driver swung with the guys that were still working in this restaurant. But basically, we were like, we were like just shy of bribing these folks to make like 200 chicken nuggets for like the 10 of us that were trying to get some food.
Right.
Because again, we didn't know how long it was going to take us to get on the plane. We didn't know when our next meal was coming. Like, we got to get something.
Right.
And so I don't know what kind of sweetheart deal got swung there, but
You're like, brother, give us some Tyson Anytizer or something.
just something. So so we ended up with a bunch of chicken nuggets and a bunch of bottles of water, and that's what we had before we got on the plane in Dubai. So
Well, they good chicken nuggets.
they were actually very good. Yes. But honestly, at that point, anything will taste good.
yeah, true that.
any chicken nuggets. will
Sure.
taste good.
You probably could have ate them plant-based Burger King nuggets.
Yeah, I didn't even see whether they were all white meat. I don't even think I cared. At that
Yeah,
point.
you're like,
It was
it's got
just like,
breading on it. I got water on, be good.
pretty
Yeah,
much,
right.
yeah, pretty much. And if all goes south, I've got Tums and
Yeah.
Amelia, so it's
Amelia, she's a chicken nugget connoisseur, dude. I
Yeah?
mean, like she can appreciate a good nugget.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, don't we all?
I mean, I do.
Don't
I
we all?
appreciate a good nugget, dude.
So we'll go kind of location by location and talk about these races and the challenges in each race and kind of share a couple of pictures. We'll start where you started, Novo Antarctica. There's a picture of you running, which concerns me because your beard is like frozen white. And, of course, there's a picture of you at the line. Now, I couldn't tell if that was a finished picture or that was what you took before you ran.
So that was a picture that I took before.
Okay.
That was before the timing mount was set up there, but they had the post set up obviously. So.
But so talk briefly about the Antarctica race specifically.
So I will say this much: Antarctica, we got, I guess, relatively speaking, perfect weather in Antarctica. It was about, I mean, as you can see from the picture, I mean, I'm wearing a pair of shorts, a pair of leggings, and I had like 2 shirts on, a skull cap, and a pair of sunglasses. You had to have those sunglasses because the sun was abundant that day, and coming off the snow like that, you can actually get snow blindness. So
Sure.
Yeah.
you do not want to take your sunglasses off down there. So that's kind of the big thing. So the weather was perfect. I think it was about 23 degrees or whatever -5 Celsius is.
It's about 23 degrees. I think I did the math.
So yeah, somewhere around there. It was sunny and there was no wind. So as
No
far-
wind.
That's
no-
probably
none.
that's probably what gets you the most there, right? Because it's just flat. Like the wind probably just cuts you like a knife when it's blowing.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I had for this race an outer shell, both for my lower body and for my upper body to protect from that. And then, as you can see in the picture, I didn't end up wearing it, and that was kind of the thing that I lamented about this race. I'm like, well, I'm glad I have all this stuff,
Right.
but it's like I went out and bought all this stuff to run in, and
It was 20 degrees.
it was 23 degrees. I'm like, well, I'm gonna get hot. I think I started out with like my wind shell up top. I'm like, but I'm standing out there in the sun. I'm like, it's too hot
You're going to overheat.
at 23 degrees. It's too hot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take off, and in a mile, I'm gonna be toast.
Right.
So it was pretty immediately apparent that we were going to have to kind of break down the clothes a little bit. And I kept thinking to myself, well, my God, I've trained in temperatures that were colder than this before. Like, how are we getting this lucky with the weather? But yeah, I mean, we really lucked out. It was pretty awesome.
Is there
Yeah.
any wildlife in Antarctica?
There are definitely penguins down there. The only penguin I saw was actually one of my fellow runners who dressed like a penguin to run the race.
Okay.
But that's as far as I got. And they tell you even if you see wildlife down there, not to disturb it
Oh, yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
because
I mean, it probably hardly ever sees human life, right? It's probably like, what the heck's that?
right. I think I want to say that. So we were like not along the coast in Antarctica. We were in what they refer to as deep Antarctica. And I want to say like no more than 300 people a year go like that far into Antarctica. So it was
Like
pretty
yeah,
cool,
like
pretty
and
unique
like
in and of itself.
like polar bears. Are there polar bears down there, or mainly just penguins? I don't know. That's I
He's like, is there polar bears down there? They didn't fucking tell me.
Yeah, Jesus, what is it? Yeah. I mean, that's like that. Because that's like that. I know in like a lot of polar places, like that's a big concern. Polar bears, right? Because like they don't really care about anything. They're like, man, I'm kind of hungry, and you look kind of tasty.
Right.
Like there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. Yeah. I think
Throw a bottle of glass Coke at them and
be like, hey, it's like a Christmas commercial.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Just take the Coke and go. I know it makes you smile. So
yeah,
just do
I've
it.
seen how this works. But
So-
I didn't know if there's like polar bears or penguins. Probably like I assume penguins, but
What were the biggest challenges down there?
The biggest challenge in Antarctica, so the course was set up as like a triangle. So like you came out of the start line, it was kind of flat, so it was nice. But the footing was pretty terrible all the way around. I mean, you're running on snow and ice. And actually on the first like little straightaway, there was like a solid sheet of ice that you basically had to just kind of tiptoe on. You really couldn't, get a full stride on it. And I want to say actually one of the runners fell on that sheet of ice and broke her wrist during the first race. She
my gosh.
She finished the challenge, continued to race, but that was the first injury that we had
gosh.
along the way. But you kind of start out going like straight, and then it's like a really solid downhill, which is nice after a little while. But then like the last, I would say half mile to 0.75 miles or so back up toward the start line, it was just like this steady uphill. And, the first couple times around, not that bad. When you get to about your third or fourth time around, this was a 10 loop course. It was 10, 2.6 mile, kind of this triangular loop.
Right.
So you get back around to that hill and it's just like your legs are screaming at you by the time you're done with it. And I think that was probably the hardest part of that course. It's just knowing that you had to navigate that.
What about the actual footing? Like somebody asked in the comments, do you have any issues with the snow and the treads and your footing?
Yeah, so you definitely want to wear trail shoes when you do something like that. A standard pair of road runners. I mean, if it has good traction, good grip, might be okay, but you really want to go with like trail shoes. But even with that, I mean, it helped a little bit, but on the snow and ice, I mean, it was still quite a bit of challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy time.
I would have had shin splints like lap 1, dude.
Did you stop at all to take it in, the fact that you're in a place where a very small percentage of the human population goes or has been or ever will be?
Yeah. It's really hard not to do that.
Sure.
So about halfway around that triangular kind of loop, I guess, if you want to call it that, they actually had an aid station there where you could stop and get water, and they had snacks and stuff, which is pretty cool. It was like a little heated truck that they had. So, when you had an opportunity to stop at the aid station, it was kind of cool to look around and just take it all in, because it's just like you don't even really believe where you are, and then you look out and you're like, man, this goes on for I don't know how many thousands of miles. It's incredible, and it's beautiful. Like you cannot imagine a place that is more untouched and pure than that. It's really it's pretty breathtaking.
Yeah, I just being there, seeing pictures of you there. Yeah, it blew my mind. Just like, damn, that's at the same, that's people that are out there running and doing a challenge. But that's my kid brother, man. Like, he's down in the bottom of the world, and it's wild.
Yeah,
it was wild as a spectator to see that.
Yep.
And I would show people the videos of you finishing that race, and they just looking, they're awestruck. They're like, "You really ran a marathon in Antarctica?" I'm like, "Absolutely,
we really did."
And tomorrow. Tomorrow's Cape Town.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the trouble, is you don't really get a lot of time to enjoy it, because you got to think about immediately, like, recovering and making sure you're getting the calories and the hydration and just all the stuff that you need to do to get ready to do this again. And that Cape Town turnaround was quick. We ended up running those first 2 races in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
Which is absurd. I mean, I've never in my life dreamed I would run 2 marathons in less than 24 hours.
You guys did it twice on this challenge, though.
We did it twice. Yeah, we did it at the beginning and at the end. Yep. Sure.
But and also I wanted to ask you. So I know Ultima Base, where you guys were in Antarctica, they have their shuttle from Cape Town to mainland Antarctica.
Yes.
I know it was different than the charter flight.
Yes.
Was it conducive for what you had to do at all?
Not necessarily. So basically, we flew to Antarctica in this. It was kind of like a specialist jet. It was like this old Soviet era cargo plane that was outfitted with typical airline seats.
Sure.
And
it looked like a military flight when I saw the pictures. Yeah, it looked like a military plane.
Yeah, more or less. That's what it was. And there's not a whole lot of room there to operate. I mean, you kind of get on, you throw your bags. We kind of just piled our carry-on bags in the back.
Yeah.
And because, you didn't want to take anything more than what you needed down there for Antarctica. So we left a lot of our stuff back in our hotel room in Cape Town and just kind of took what we needed for Antarctica. So that's what it was difficult to kind of move around in there. I guess, luckily, I had gone through this process of taping and prepping for a race so many times that it seemed like second nature, which helped when you're trying to do it in a hurry and you're trying to do it in a confined space like that. It made a difference.
I bet. I looked and saw pictures of that plane, and I bet there's nothing conducive at all.
Not at all.
About that plane for like recovery and then having to go and make the quick turnaround like you did.
Not at all.
And your next destination, which is Cape Town, South Africa, the Africa leg of the marathon. That's a picture of you finishing and a picture of you posing with your medal. Talk about this race specifically, like what new challenges, obviously, did you encounter on this particular leg of the race?
Well, it's never natural to go from 23 degrees, even though that's warm for Antarctica, to about it was probably in the mid 70s with some humidity in Cape Town. It's amazing how much of a difference just a 5.5 hour flight can make. So that was kind of the biggest challenge here, just being able to make that adjustment quickly. and also to basically do it on no sleep, because that flight, the plane that we flew back from Antarctica on was so loud. They gave us earplugs because it was so loud, and it really it didn't help. They didn't help at all, and of course the seats didn't really lay flat at all. So I don't think anybody really got any sleep. I might have zonked out for an hour or so on that flight, but then we got back, and it was pretty much time to go.
And then to get up and run another marathon within the same 24 hours.
Yeah, it's really the first time that I'm like, you know what, this sucks. But again, everybody else is going through the same thing. So it's like, what excuse do I have? I don't have any. So you just find a way through.
Right.
Yeah.
Ran along the ocean, it looked like, along the coastline.
We did. We ran along an area of Cape Town. It's called the Sea Point Promenade.
Okay.
Which is a big area in Cape Town for a lot of runners, a lot of bikers, a lot of tourists, things like that.
Kind of a fitness area, kind of.
Yeah, more or less. It turns into that because you see a lot of people running along that path, and there's also a lot of people like off in the grassy areas training, kickboxing and regular boxing and
very cool.
Just all kinds of stuff. So yeah, very much an attractive spot for fitness enthusiasts.
What? How was the South African sun?
Unrelenting.
Yeah,
absolutely unrelenting. Because remember, it's summertime down there.
Sure.
And if you think about it, it's just a simple matter of geography, right? You've got the southern hemisphere that's pointed toward the sun, and Cape Town is pretty far south.
Right.
So the UV index probably 11 out of 10. So if you didn't wear sunscreen, you found yourself in a lot of trouble, and it was pretty obvious. After that race, who didn't? But
and that's the first thing that I would have thought about is you took sunscreen clearly.
Absolutely, yeah. It was required for Antarctica because that's another place where even though it's cold. The rays down there are so incredibly intense, not only because of where it is geographically, but because there's really no ozone layer.
Well, it's a desert.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the world's largest desert.
Yes.
So, and people don't think that in desert terms because it's cold.
Because it's snowy and cold and icy, but yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I looked up the meaning of desert the other day. An area that gets no precipitation.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's it?
And they get very little.
That's it.
That's all it takes?
It's like very, very little precipitation.
Yep.
My mouth's like a desert
like
sometimes.
A desert when I get thirsty.
Yeah, right. Thirsty bub.
Shout out Patrick McGuire.
Yes.
On that one. So South Africa, and I was as I was watching along, I kind of like when you finished Antarctica, I believe in 5:14.
Yes.
Was Antarctica, and that made me feel really good because I knew your goal was 6 hours.
Yep. Yeah.
And you were 45, 46 minutes under your goal.
Yep.
So I felt really good. I was like, he's in good shape. Like that. That was the one that scared everybody. That was the one that had us all like, holy shit. And that's why when I woke up Friday morning and I knew you were on a plane to Antarctica, I'm over here like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just that's one of those races that it's so unorthodox in how you prepare for it and the equipment that you need for it. The running gear for the remaining races is pretty standard. But that one is one that I think is, it's the most novel.
Sure.
Everyone. Yeah.
Sure. But when I saw the time of 5:14, I saw you came in middle of the pack with the runners. I was like, he feels good. He's in good shape.
Yes.
Let's see how tomorrow goes.
Right.
Now, again, we go to Cape Town. Obviously much different than Antarctica. Time got a little slower. You were, what, 5:21?
5:21 in that race. And that had a lot to do, I think, with just the it could have been a lot of factors to the weather, the change in the weather, the lack of calories, and you're doing it on an hour, maybe an hour and a half of sleep.
Right.
Of course, it's a constant battle to stay hydrated and to keep the electrolyte balance there as well. You want to keep the rhabdo away. So, I mean, there's just so many things. And, when we got back from Antarctica, it was like, okay, guys, go back to your room, shower, get ready. You basically need to be down here ready to go right now.
Huh.
So there's no time to get off your feet, and not that any of that's an excuse necessarily, but I mean, it's just, these are the sort of things that'll slow you down a little bit.
Sure. Not sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah.
The dogs are howling.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Hopping off a plane and having to go straight to a marathon start line. Yeah.
Exactly. I
Gets
think,
me every time.
Yeah. I think all of us, maybe one of the saving graces for everyone was that we knew we had a 14-hour flight to Perth after this race. So we're all kind of like, man, if we can just get through this race,
to that plane.
let's get to that plane. That's a long plane ride. That's plenty of time. You can get a full 8 hours and fully recover and eat and hydrate, and you can do a lot of things in 14 hours. So.
Well, I was getting ready to make the same comment. Like after South Africa, you had a 14-hour flight coming up. First long flight of the trip. Yep. Actually, probably a lot of them were longer flights, I assume.
That was actually the longest one.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would have thought it would have been Madrid to Fortaleza. We'll talk about that later, but okay. I would have thought that would have been that. We move on to the Australia leg of the race, Perth, Australia, night race, which had to be awesome.
It was awesome. And actually, so Perth had actually been going through a little bit of a heat wave in the week or so before we got there.
I saw that. So I was watching the weather.
Yep.
I was like, Perth is the one that scares me.
Right. And I knew we were scheduled to run that one at night, but I also knew we were kind of moving at breakneck speed as well. So I'm like, man, I think everybody kind of had their fingers crossed that we would run this race at night, and we got it. And it was still a little bit humid, but really overall it was pretty pleasant. And nice. I think it was a relief for all of us, especially coming out of Cape Town.
I want to mention pictured there on the right, it's Casey Snyder. Guy I got to meet, guy I got to do a shotgun yingling with at the finish line in Miami.
Yep.
Very nice guy.
Yes,
very cool guy.
Very nice guy. One of many lifelong friends that I made on this trip that I consider to be like a brother to me now. That's really good dude.
That's amazing. Yep. Yeah. Talk about Perth. Being a night race, I'm sure there probably weren't a lot of people around.
No. So, we kind of ran it along this trail along the river, and you did have a handful of people out walking and riding bikes. But overall, no, at many points in that race, you kind of felt like you were running alone.
Okay.
So yeah, not a lot of people around. And it was weird because it was the first time I had ever run with a headlamp on. I never trained that way. I don't typically run at night, and that's more of a tactical thing. I don't like to run in places where I can't see what's in front of me, or, run with a headlamp where somebody can see me coming from, however far away.
Sure.
Just more of a tactical consideration. I don't typically do it. So, running at night, running with a headlamp was definitely a different experience. And just kind of getting used to that being on your head. And, I've run with a hat on before, but, this was
not really a race you want to run if you're afraid of the dark.
No, not at all. not
I'm out.
Are adults afraid of the dark? Are you afraid of the dark?
No, of course not.
Shut up. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm not really afraid of the dark.
Don't worry. We're not going to tell your secrets.
Or shut the lights off.
Or did we?
Amelia's terrified of the dark.
Of course she is. She's a child.
I don't know, dude.
She's not yet 2.
Maybe she knows more than we
do. Will you
do.
let her turn 2?
Maybe she knows more than we do about the dark, man. Maybe we should be afraid of it too.
How'd the dark treat you in Perth?
Treated me
pretty good, probably.
Treated me pretty well. It was it was nice to have the sun off of me. So
yeah. It's probably peaceful too.
And you had to feel good, like you had a whole flight to just sit, sleep. You guys had lay flats. I was gonna upload a picture of the plane. You guys, it was a whole plane of first class seats, right?
Yes, the entire plane was outfitted with lay flat seats. I'll get it out.
Was that awesome?
It was amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
It was amazing, especially when you're coming off that plane from Antarctica and you're just like, man, this is the life. This is like, I'm going to age myself a little bit, but I likened it to like a plane, like MTV Cribs style. Yeah. Some of your younger viewers may not know what that is. But
sure.
It's a cool.
We don't appeal to kids. This is mostly a show for the middle aged.
Right.
But some kids maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Very cool though. Everybody's got a lay flat. Everybody's got a business class meal. It's it is on an airplane.
Yes.
But, still had to feel pretty good in Perth.
Yep.
Finally
not
being
I think for a lot of us, getting off the plane in Perth was the most we had felt rested in a couple of days.
Very cool.
It was cool.
Very cool. Greg, your seatmate, and I don't want to say his last name wrong, so I'm not going to try.
Greg Yagmai. Is he?
It's just Yagmai.
Yagmai.
Okay. Yeah. He
don't
commented.
I asked him too because I didn't want to butcher his last name.
Sure.
How do you pronounce that?
Sure. But he said Corey is the absolute best. He hand wrote a note for every runner. Handed them out at first meeting. You hand wrote a note for every runner.
Yeah, I did. So in the weeks leading up to the race, I actually had some cards printed out with the World Marathon Challenge logo on one side and all the locations on the back side. And inside every note, I kept it simple. I'm like, insert name. Welcome to the 2025 World Marathon Challenge. I look forward to running you with you this week. Good luck. And, for the, we had an Argentinian runner and a Hispanic runner that I tried to write those in Spanish. We had a couple French runners. I tried to write those in French. I hope I didn't butcher them. I blame Google Translate if I did.
They just like look at it and they're like,
Yeah. But
No, I do not want to get spaghetti with you.
yeah.
but no, I tried to. So I did end up handwriting everybody in the field a note, and I passed most of them out at the kind of the pre briefing that we had, and I did that mainly because I wanted everybody to kind of have something to walk away with besides medals, some kind of other souvenir, I guess.
Sure.
What it ended up being was a really good way to make sure that I shook hands with everybody.
Yeah.
And talked to everybody, even if briefly. I didn't get a chance to know everybody on the trip as well as I would have liked to. But at the very least, like, I got to shake everybody's hand. I got to meet everybody.
So I actually got to meet Greg briefly, I believe, in the airport. Because I know you introduced me to your seatmate. I believe we were in the airport.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yep. And really, and something else that it did along the way was when you would, when I would, pass another runner along the course, or I guess in most cases when other runners would pass me, I'm pretty middle of the pack. But, I could put a name to a face.
Yeah.
And that was good for camaraderie as well.
Sure.
It was like, hey, such and such, I know your name. And I may not know you very well, but hey,
Right.
I can at least
Address you.
say your name and tell you good job and
Yeah.
encourage you in some way.
You're just like, not today, Frank, and you just keep running. Yeah.
But yeah, he said, at first meetings, everybody's a stranger and you're there handing everybody notes.
Yeah. Just trying to again, make sure everybody had something to walk away with. And, I didn't anticipate how much of a hit those would be. I think a lot of people really appreciated that.
Sure. And, what I love the most about it is, it's just one of those tally marks that you put in this battle to be mom's favorite kid.
Well,
It's like this, look at what my son did.
Sean, you and I both know I don't need any more tally marks for that.
Finally, at least he admitted
At least he admitted it,
At
dude.
least he finally. Usually he's like, "No, dude, she probably loves the sequel." I'm like, "Yeah, you're a PhD.
No,
you're a PhD.
dude.
I'm a bartender with a podcast."
No,
Let's
man,
just
she
talk
loves
about-
us both the same. She
let's
wrote
talk
it in
about-
our birthday card.
Let's talk about which direction the nutrition went. Got an extra granola bar? Here you go, Corey. Oh, he's younger.
That literally never happened.
No, not one time ever.
Not one time ever.
Not one time ever. Not one time ever. But it's fun to say for me.
For
For
me.
you. Okay. I'll let you have your fun with
But
that. For sure.
very cool. Teo says, what's up? Quick shameless plug. Teo Zeta, bass player in the band I play in called
nice.
Market Zero. We're playing our first show Saturday night. That's going to be awesome.
Awesome.
Rock and roll, man.
I'm gonna try to swing in and see a little bit of that.
You should. You should.
I'm gonna try to.
You should.
When
Mike,
you start playing at 9.
9 o'clock. Mike Oram says, hello, gents.
Hello, Silver
The old
Fox.
Silver Fox.
Love that guy.
And I think Rob's blowing my phone up trying to get, or maybe he's not, trying to get our attention
Okay.
so that we caught wind of Greg's comment. So, which is great.
Yep.
Which is great. We go back and forth between comments and just making sure we get through all the content here. There's a whole lot to talk about, but we are talking about my brother Corey Burton, who finished the 2025 World Marathon Challenge. That's 7 marathons, 7 continents in 7 days, actually 6 days, because why not be animals when you can be animals?
Right.
Yeah, dude.
Why not?
Yeah,
Why
that
not?
whole decision to start Miami at 1 a.m. happened while we were on the plane. Or no, it wasn't while we were on the plane. It was, we were like prepping to go to the airport. And we get that and we're like, all right, well, this changes everything.
Yeah.
Now we don't know when we're going to sleep.
Yeah, I think we knew coming out of Fortaleza at the end that we were going to start that race at 1. It wasn't really until Fortaleza where the entire group, I think, was kind of in on the fact that, hey, we're trying to break the world record. That's why we're moving.
Yeah. So
fast.
is that something you guys voted on, or
No, that was decided.
that was made? That decision was made for you.
That was decided.
They're
yeah.
volunteer.
Because I wonder how many of the runners were like,
Dude, we really got to break a record.
Yeah, right.
right. But moving on. So from Australia, you fly to, I think, my favorite finish for you, because this was the first time you were sub 5 hours. You move on to Dubai, and the United Arab Emirates,
Yes.
the Asia leg of the World Marathon Challenge. Photo credit goes to Richard and Lucas for the photo on the left, but the photo on the right is a screenshot of a video that that Runbuck also took.
Yes.
And I was like, we've got to get a still shot of my brother, Aaron Rodgersing, this he's discount double checking the World Marathon Challenge banner,
Yeah.
the finish tape. Very cool. It was a very cool moment. Right after the moment that I screenshot, you actually let out a pretty big smile. And I got to be honest, being a family, like, it felt really good to see. It was like, all right, now this dude is 4 races in. He's feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could tell in the video you finished, you were feeling good.
Yep.
And you had I was texting with you and you said Dubai was awesome. They laid out the red carpet.
They did.
Like, talk about the specifics of that race.
So first of all, we get to the airport and we get to like this private jet lounge. We take the shuttle in. We're surrounded by private jets. We get into this lounge, and it's like, all right, we go through this security checkpoint, and the first thing you see is like a Lamborghini, like straight ahead, that you can scan a QR code and take on a test drive if you want. And there were a couple other vehicles there as well. I can't remember exactly what.
What, are you serious? Just scan a QR code?
Scan a QR code, and that's how you set up your test drive of your Lamborghini around Dubai. Yeah, if you're rolling in the same terminal as the private jet folks, that's what you get, right? And so there's that, and then these folks, folks kind of work in the work in this particular. I don't want to call it. It's not a hangar, but like this particular terminal, right? This private terminal. They walk out with like these like orange, fruity drinks, and they're just handing them to us. And then you walk in, and it's like this beautiful, like, it was so clean that I almost felt bad for even walking on it. Like the whitest, cleanest floors that you've ever seen. Like these awesome like couches, like this whole room just dedicated to like sitting and hanging out in luxury. Basically, I'm like, what in the world have they done for us? I mean, this is insane. So we go in there, we hang out for a little bit. Actually, one of the kind of an interesting story, I guess. A couple of folks had the opportunity to, we'll say, use the facilities there in this particular terminal, and like even the toilet in this terminal. You go in, it's like this private room, and the whole thing was automatic. I think you basically were supposed to tell it whether you were doing 1 or number 2, and then it like catered your entire experience, depending on whatever.
I would have made myself go.
You had to do. So I mean, it was just like, just insane, just an insane amount of luxury.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really rolled it out for us, and then the course itself. It was set up. So back in 2020, they had, I think they ended up doing it in 2021 because of COVID, but it was originally supposed to be in 2020. They basically had this expo in Dubai where like other countries brought in all of like their technology and all their toys and stuff. And they set up like this little makeshift city to host this event. Well, they don't really do a whole lot with it now. There's a couple restaurants there, but they don't really do a whole lot with it now. But they set up a course for us within this expo center. And it ended up being perfect. Like the weather was perfect. Like the sun went down, the temperature dropped, the humidity was low. And the whole course was just like characterized by this light show and music and just all this cool stuff. I mean, it was just really one of the most unique places I think I've ever run a race. It was pretty awesome.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. Did you see like cars out on the street, or were you in an area where there were cars, like there were people? So, I mean, Dubai is lavish.
Yes.
Lavish.
Yes. Everywhere you look. Yeah.
Everything about it, there's just money everywhere.
Yep.
And I mean, kudos to them.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we got a little bit of a sense of that on the shuttle ride from the airport out to the race site.
Okay.
We actually didn't see, I guess, the main part of Dubai, for lack of a better term. The expo center was kind of out a little bit from the main part of Dubai. So, like the Burj Khalifa.
You were not able to see the Burj?
Not from where we were.
Wow, because it's massive.
Yeah, because it's the tallest building in the world.
Right.
But we were pretty far out.
Yeah.
From that. So.
Wild.
Yep.
That's wild indeed.
Yep.
Pretty cool, man. So like I said, I was at work and saw that you'd finished that race, and I got Jordan had sent me a video like, check this out, and I'm like, oh man, he double checked the tape. I gotta, that's got to be a photo.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that as like a discount double check. I was just like, I'm going to wear this as a championship belt.
That's right.
That's what I had going on. But yeah, that's a good reference.
That's an absolute Aaron Rodgers move right there.
Yep.
And I'm a fan. I'm here for it.
Yep.
So Dubai, you get away from Dubai. Can't be too far of a flight to Madrid.
I think it was about an 8-hour flight from Dubai to Madrid, which never have I ever thought of an 8-hour flight as being short, but it was, because you get on the plane and like you have to stay awake long enough for that meal to come.
Sure.
Because again, we didn't really have a whole lot of opportunities to eat at the airport in Dubai. So like that one meal, that's probably going to be that meal at the beginning and then that snack before you land. I mean, that's going to be all the fuel you're going to get in all likelihood before the next race. So by the time you eat that meal and then you sleep for, I don't know, maybe 4 hours, it's time to get up and start thinking about getting ready for the next race. And I opted to put on my gear for the next race on the plane, on each of the individual plane rides, because when you got to the race site, it was always kind of rushed, right? So you didn't know how much time you were going to have to actually get ready. So I have like a regimen of, I guess for lack of a better term, a regimen of KT tape that I put on my ankles to give my Achilles a little bit of support.
Sure.
So I would tape up, put my gear on, and then when we got to the race site, all I had to do was kind of cover areas where, like on my feet that tend to blister a little bit, and then I was ready to go. So.
Right on. And next stop, Madrid, Spain, the Europe leg of the World Marathon Challenge. Now, the picture on the left there, I want to comment on that one, because I believe, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I believe you're hugging Ted there.
I am hugging Ted there. Yes.
Yeah, you're hugging Ted.
Yes.
I want to shout out me because I made a video this morning, and all through this whole marathon, I'm watching these videos on Instagram, and I'm like, holy crap, that guy that MCs and makes the live videos and kind of is the voice of the World Marathon Challenge from an internet standpoint, that guy's really cool. When I go to Miami, I hope I get to shake that guy's hand. I did get to shake that guy's hand. Yep. And then take it one step further. Today, that guy, Ted, liked my video on Facebook. And I'm like looking through these people that I don't know, because I'm like, are any of these people that you met out on the challenge? And I see that, and I'm going to everybody's page, and I'm like, that's freaking Ted.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That guy was the coolest to watch on Instagram, and then he was the coolest guy to meet.
Yep.
Outstanding person.
Yeah. Really made the trip, I think. And I think, I want to say on Instagram, at least, the World Marathon Challenge had maybe 21,000 followers before this event. I think they're up to almost 40,000 followers now. And I attribute a lot of that to him.
Sure.
And just how entertaining of a person he is, and how he's able to tell.
And I'll be honest, also, I can listen to somebody from the UK talk all freaking day.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't care what they're talking about.
Everything is cooler in a British accent. So.
Absolutely. Every comedian that has a British accent.
Automatically funny.
Automatically funny.
Mm-hmm. Automatically funny.
Like sometimes I just want to be Russell Howard, but I don't have that accent.
Just watch a lot of Peppa Pig, man. Caleb, my nephew Adler, when he was learning how to talk, he just watched a lot of Peppa Pig, and he said, Mame and Daddy forever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it might work on you, too.
I'm 43 years old.
It might work.
I don't think it will.
Well, I think if you hang out with people that speak the same accent.
I watch Ted Lasso a lot.
Okay. Well, maybe it won't work.
And a lot of people speak.
All right, we're gonna have to have like some elaborate plan, electrotherapy.
I mean, we say bruv a lot.
That counts.
Yeah, kind of.
It counts.
Kind of.
Bruv.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, bruv. All right, so do me a favor, Corey. Talk about Madrid, because I saw where you were, and I was like, is he on the F1 track?
Yes.
Pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
So talk about that race.
So this was actually my best race. The weather was absolutely perfect. I think we got like a 40-degree day with some sunshine, no wind or anything like that. And we ran it, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of it, but it's called the Jarama Formula One racetrack.
Okay.
Which is really cool to run on. It provides a good surface overall, nice paved surface, but there are a lot of hills on a Formula One racetrack. There's a lot of elevation changes there. which made it pretty tough. I want to say like the one hill on this track was bigger than any hill that I had ever trained on.
Okay.
So I was somewhat ready for that. But I ended up taking it pretty slow on that hill again after, the first couple laps or so. But then, with every big uphill comes a lot of downhill relief as well.
Sure.
So you're able to kind of pick up some speed there. This was just, it was really, really neat course to be able to run. It was an 11 loop course. So, I kind of measure some of these courses by how many times did Steffi pass me on this one. And I think it was probably 3 times on this one or so. But yeah, just a really, really neat course. Good footing overall, good downhill relief, which is cool. But you paid for it on the uphills a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And Steffi is another one I want to talk about who kind of became a celebrity in my brain watching this because she won every race but Miami, correct?
That's correct.
And you're right.
Yeah, the overall.
She won the overall challenge.
Overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every race individually, with the exception of Miami.
Yes.
And by the time we got to Madrid and I saw kind of, that was her home.
Yes.
And, the entourage she had there, the fanfare she got there, well-deserved for anybody, who's doing what you did in their home,
Yep.
Yeah, well-deserved. But I'm like, man, this is like kind of a celebrity. So by the time I got to the airport in Miami to meet up with you guys, I was kind of like, where's the Steffi? Mm-hmm. Like, there's my brother.
Yeah.
And I announced our presence with a resounding "Let's go" through the Miami airport.
Yes, you did.
Which I know you instantly heard.
I very much appreciated it.
Yeah. Did you know we were there?
I did not know you were there.
Did you think you had no inclination that we'd be there?
I had no inclination that you would be there. It was a total surprise.
Knowing Katie and I had just flown in and you thought they're not going to stay at the airport to wait on me?
I guess maybe more than anything, I didn't want to get my hopes up. There was a part of me that was like,
Sure.
yeah, it'd be really cool if they were there, but I did not know you were there.
Yeah, no, we were totally there at the Miami airport. And then we saw you like 3 hours later at the start line.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No rest for the weary. That's the theme of the week.
So that's a pretty good gauge, though, because her times were remarkable.
Yes. Incredible to watch. And, really up until about the Fortaleza race, which was tough on everybody, she was just killing everybody and doing it with a literal smile on her face. One of the nicest people you would ever want to meet, and obviously a very talented runner.
She has 8 kids.
Yeah, she has 8 kids. It's in the comments.
That's
Sorry.
what Greg said.
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, Tyler's just like busted in with a
I'm
comment.
like, my God, dude.
So Greg, Yagmai let us know that, yeah, she was beyond amazing. She has 8 kids.
Wow.
And Jordan is all the walking. Hey, Greg. Jordan's in the comments now.
Hi, Jordan.
Got the mom in the comments finally. She doesn't get in the comments very much anymore. I wonder if she still loves us.
I don't know, man.
Well, now that her favorite son's up here, she's going to be all over.
That's why she's in the
That's why she's in the
comments.
comments, man. Oh,
So now we're just saying it.
It's solidified.
We're just saying it. All
It's
right,
solidified now.
Cool. You know what? I'm a good person too.
bro. You are a good person. You're a very good person.
I'm a decent person. Yep. I'm a decent person. Nothing else. But so very cool. It's very cool to like see her. Like some of these people that I had watched, in all the Instagram posts from World Marathon Challenge. Like when I got there and I saw them at the airport, I was like, man, these are like people I've been watching for almost, most of the last week.
Right.
And I'm like, this is cool to have all this come to fruition and me be there and see these people. So it was cool to meet Casey because you had made a post, with Casey. It was, Steffi had been all over the World Marathon Challenge because she was the overall leader.
Right.
So to see these people, it was kind of like almost starstruck. Like when I saw Ted, I was like, dude, you're awesome.
It's Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the man. That's the MC right there.
Yeah. So, but, and you finished Madrid, like you said, it was your best time despite the difficult hill.
Yes.
Your best time.
Yeah, because really, when you weren't running on that hill, it was just smooth. I don't know. I was able to get into a really good rhythm there. And I knew going into this race, like these were not meant to be PR times.
Sure, and you said that.
None of them. So when I say I got into a good rhythm there, I guess that's relatively speaking. But again, relatively speaking, just a good rhythm there. The weather was good. Yeah,
you were what, 452 in Madrid?
I think so. Yeah, 450, something like that.
And your overall marathon PR is 412.
412.
Yeah.
So yeah. So one thing that I learned from doing my own 22-mile challenge back in October was that to get through it, you really got to take a little bit off the gas because this is really all about, as Greg Yagmai said, survive in advance, right?
Sure.
That was kind of the theme of the week. So
Sure.
you wanted to put a premium on staying healthy. That was the
100%.
biggest thing. I think for a lot of us, these probably weren't going to be individually our best races, but
Sure.
good enough to get the job done, right?
And I would like to see, some of these people like somebody like a Steffi who was running 320s.
I want to say I think she averaged around 315, 320, somewhere
Yeah, it was
around
like,
there.
I thought 327 was going to be either way though.
Yeah.
Like,
I think she's capable of going under 3 hours, though.
That's insane.
That's wild.
I think
insane.
she could do it. Yeah, and I think
that's elite.
and I think there are
that's elite runner.
probably
Yeah.
I think there were probably a couple of people on the trip that could do that. I think.
And I don't want to butcher her name, but the lady who won Miami,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Tomomi.
Tomomi,
Yep.
yeah, also elite. Like,
Yes.
it's just
Yes.
ridiculous to watch some of these people do what they're able to do.
Yeah, and also another one of those people that just ran every race with a smile on her face. I'm like,
Yes,
how are you?
I
doing
remember when
this?
she finished in Miami.
Yeah.
Like she was thrilled to win, but like she was smiling the whole time.
The whole time.
I was like,
it didn't
very,
change.
very cool.
It wasn't a show for the camera at the finish
No.
line. It was literally the same expression the entire way around.
Very
I was
cool,
like,
man.
How are you doing this?
Very, very, absolutely cool because we saw some of the looks that your face gave, and I'm going to show one of them right now. The next
please do.
race, the flight to Brazil. Now, so you're saying that was not near 14 hours. How long was it to Madrid to Brazil?
That was about a 7.5. No, 8, around 8 hours. I think.
Really?
Yeah, not far. Not,
See,
not
I
as
would have
far as
thought
having to cross
because I
the-
know Brazil is west of like where we are in Indiana. Like Brazil, South America is kind of over.
Yeah, it's kind of down and maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
a little bit east. Actually.
So I mean, I know it takes us, 8 hours to fly from like a DC to London.
yeah,
So
roughly 6 or 7 maybe.
is it that small?
Yeah, from DC. Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
have
say
thought it'd been a
from-
longer flight.
From like when we flew out of Boston,
Yeah.
and it was only like a 4.5 hour flight, 5 hour. It was very short.
Huh.
On the way back, it's way longer. It was like seven, I think, on the way. The same exact flight was like 7.
That's wild.
Yeah. I always thought it was like I've only ever flown out of Atlanta that way, and it's like 8 hours or whatever. But yeah,
That's wild.
flying off the East Coast to London was way faster than I thought it would be.
So Madrid to Fortaleza, good flight.
Good flight. All the flights were good. I think we maybe hit a few bumps coming into Fortaleza,
Yeah.
but otherwise, all the flights were actually very smooth. But yeah, again, it's just another one of those where you think, oh, it's an 8 hour flight. I have all this time, but it's really not. Because again, by the time you get that meal, and you eat it, and then you think about going to sleep, you're looking at maybe 4 hours of sleep before you got to get up and start thinking about getting that snack that they're going to give you. And if you're like me and you're trying to get ready on the plane, getting that taken care of as well, so that you're ready to go. Because once you get off the plane and go to the race site and get to the race site, it's going to be a mad dash. So
That's crazy. So we move along, transatlantic flight to Fortaleza, Brazil, and not a smile from Corey there on the right.
not at all,
Now this was your slowest race,
by far.
and talk about that race.
This was by far the worst weather conditions I've ever run in. I want to say the temperature was somewhere around, it was between 85 and 90 degrees. You've got a heat index in the mid 90s. I mean, you walk outside and you're immediately just wearing the humidity like a sweater. So, I mean, that picture on the right, that is the look of, it's really hot and I cannot wait. I want nothing more than for this race to be done. I mean, it's awful. And, and the plan going into a race like that was kind of similar to my strategy in Antarctica, just kind of with the opposite problem.
Sure.
You go in, you take it slow, and you also know that you've got Miami the next day. I know that I'm coming to Miami the next day. I know that you guys are going to be there.
Right.
And I know that's the last race. Let's get to Miami healthy. That was truly the objective in that race.
Yeah.
And of course staying hydrated and, keeping the rhabdo away and all that stuff too. So,
Yeah. You said the rhabda a few times. What's that?
so that is basically when you are going into kidney failure because your electrolyte balance is off, you're not hydrated enough, things like that. And that can actually be fatal.
I didn't even know that was a possibility.
Yeah.
I just raw dog life, man.
Yeah, hopefully, hopefully Jordan will put something in the comments about. Maybe she can probably explain that.
I don't ever burn enough electrolytes to even worry about having to really replenish them that fast. You know what I'm saying?
Telling you.
Yeah,
telling you. But it was by far your worst time.
I think somebody's actually died from that.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah,
it's they were like a big runner or whatever, and it's a big thing. Like they just boom.
Not enough electrolytes.
Not enough. Yeah, your kidneys just fail.
Shut down. Yeah.
Wow.
And so
that's why I don't run. Right there.
That's not the only reason you don't run.
Okay, it's one of the reasons.
That's not the only reason.
Okay. I'll give it to you.
Your reasoning for not running is the same as my reason.
I have 2 left knees.
Well, that doesn't even make sense.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Liar.
That's cool.
I don't have 2 left knees. I don't even know. Is that even possible to have 2 left knees? Did he actually believe me for a second?
It's possible to have 2 left feet or 2 right feet, I think.
Okay, well, I got 2 left knees still. All it takes is one person to believe me.
That's really possible to have 2 right feet?
I think it is. I don't know. Google it.
I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to know if someone can have 2 right feet, because then I'm going to be wondering, like,
Can you imagine buying
right
shoes
feet under them shoes?
You
have to buy 2 pairs of shoes.
You'd have to find a person with the opposite problem, right? Like, hey, man, I know you're in Nebraska and I'm down here, in Fontana, California. I'm gonna go buy the 2 pairs of shoes this time. Next time it's on you. Here's what I want.
Yeah.
And the other guy's like,
I watch a guy on YouTube, and like he has 1 foot that's a 10 and 1 foot that's like a 6 because he had an accident or whatever. So he has to buy 2 pairs.
That's wild.
And then he was like, on one of his videos, he's like, I know there's someone out there that has the opposite footing, or like if you need shoes. Yeah, he's like, if you need shoes, I'll send them your way.
Yeah.
Jordan says she's driving and listening. It seems like Jeremy explained it pretty well. Can happen in extreme exercise situations, especially CrossFit.
Yes.
He said severe muscle breakdown and the protein fragments overload the kidneys.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yep.
Also, shout out Paul Criscola. What up, Paul? Awesome interview. I see the headphones. What's on the playlist? Just each other.
Yeah, just each other.
Just each other.
That's it. No elevator music or anything.
Having
like
a
that,
conversation, jamming some bowling for soup.
Yep.
It's a pretty good little Wednesday.
Yeah.
Pretty good little Wednesday.
Yep.
So Fortaleza, you were happy with 552 though? Like I saw that and I was like kind of worried about you. I was like, man, I hope he's not breaking down. And then I heard about the conditions.
Yeah.
I heard about everything that was going on there, and I was like, he probably took his foot off the gas.
And I definitely did. And I think everybody, I think a lot of us struggled pretty mightily with that. I think across the board, the times were down. In that race, and really they should have been. That is exactly the kind of stuff they tell you not to exert yourself in.
Right.
And then we're out there running a full marathon, having already run 5. And again, for me, the mindset was, dude, just get to Miami. Get to Miami healthy. The conditions in Miami are going to be better. You're going to have family with you. It's going to be the last one. Don't screw it up here.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, you got out of Fortaleza, as you can see, with your finisher medal for Fortaleza. We'll show that one more time. It's the only race you didn't wear a hat.
It is not the only race I didn't wear a hat. It is.
I thought it was. Where else did you not?
I think there were. I think in a lot of the post-race pictures I had a hat, but I think Madrid, I think was actually Madrid and Miami might have been the only 2 races that I wore.
Oh, really?
Actually wore. Well, I guess Antarctica too, right? I had the skull cap on.
Yeah.
But no, definitely, I definitely didn't wear anything there more than what was necessary.
That's the craziest I've ever seen your hair. Both those pictures.
Yeah.
I'm like, what hair is that? Of course, the picture on the right looks like you look like you're like turning towards like a tiger to be like, all right, I'm gonna choke this guy out.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Like I gotta choke him out. Here's how I'm gonna do this in my head. Look, you look like Liam Neeson.
That's why I just thought that when I first saw the picture.
Neeson.
I'm like,
I have a particular set of skills.
I saw it, dude. I looked at it.
Skills that make me dangerous to people like you.
Well, I guess if they ever come out with a movie about a sweaty assassin, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something like that. But
what is there like a disease like where you sweat a whole lot? Type or something.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Jeremy, get back in the comments.
Yeah,
Jordan's driving.
Jordan's driving. Disease or you sweat a lot.
Okay. Paul says, should have clarified during the marathon playlist. What is the marathon playlist, Corey?
Oh, I had several actually. I had one for each continent actually. So going back to Antarctica, I basically just made a playlist of songs that reference the cold. So
Frosty the
So-
Snowman, you know, the usual suspects.
Baby, It's Cold Outside by Dean Martin. I had a little bit of Let It Go by Idina Menzel. was on
Really?
there. Oh, yeah. A little bit of everything that I could run to. I think the Breaking Benjamin is So Cold. You know, just anything that I could think of that had to do with the cold. Freeze Frame was on there.
I love it. I'm loving this.
Cold as Ice by Foreigner was definitely made the cut there.
Wow.
So yeah, and then the rest of the races, I kind of just put together playlists of things that I just like to listen to. I had a country playlist. I had a like a 90s and 2000s a rock and alternative playlist. I had a pop playlist.
Yeah.
Miami, I think, was just a compilation of you know, all the songs that I like to run to the most. So I kind of
Sure.
combined everything there.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I really put some thought into this. Probably-
Hyperhidrosis. Yeah.
Hyperhidrosis.
There you go.
There we go. See, we got Jeremy helping us out tonight. Appreciate you, Jeremy.
That's awesome.
Stan, Jeremy's been here for about the whole stream.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good times. Good times. So we're gonna get to this last race here. We leave Fortaleza. Terrible racing conditions, but you made it. You survived. You get on the plane, and now you're on the plane to Fortaleza. Basically, while we're on the plane to Miami.
Yes.
Now, Katie and I, not Jordan. Jordan had gotten there in the morning.
Yep.
But so we're all on planes in the sky at the same time. Land at nearly the same time. I think I got the notification that you guys had landed as we were coming out of the jetway. So I was like, that's crazy. Are we going to try to, you know, link up? And, you know, Jordan was like, yeah, let's go see him. And I was like, cool. Long friggin' walk. Worth it. Worth it to have that moment and to get to meet those people. But Miami, the last of the marathons, and now I put up some of the best pictures for Miami. Of course, there's you and Ted again.
Yep.
You with the cigars.
Yes.
You know, you and I shared a cigar, which I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of your post-race
Absolutely.
celebrations.
I appreciate you guys being there.
I am covered in a beer that I screwed up shotgunning in that far left picture. I didn't earn that beer, but I got to be a part of that beer, and it was very cool. It was me, you, and Casey.
Yes.
That shotgunned Yingling's very cool. And then, of course, that's the four of us there on the left, you and Ted, and then you with the cigar pick. Dad's like, is Corey smoking a cigar?
Is he really in the comments?
I'm like, no. He commented on a picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
a
that's right.
couple
That's
days
right.
ago. I'm like,
He did.
Corey will enjoy a cigar occasionally.
Occasionally, yeah.
Especially after you run around the freaking globe.
Absolutely.
You know, that
yeah.
cigar is well earned.
That is called a victory dance,
That
right?
cigar is
Yeah.
well earned.
Shout out to Independence Day and Will
So-
Smith.
and mind you-
it's called a victory dance.
And if you'll look at that picture on the left, that's of course Katie, myself, Corey, and Jordan. None of us had sleep. Corey, in fact, had sleep the most recent of all the four of us,
Which is crazy to think about.
which is crazy to think about.
That I was probably the most well rested of the four of us. So that's
Because
something
we had been up all night. Because we got there at like 10 o'clock and we're like, all right, we're going to meet Corey in the airport. All right, this thing starts in a couple of, like, we're not going to bed. We're not going to bed. Maybe we'll nap him, you know, after he starts, we'll nap while he's no, we won't.
No, you won't.
No, we won't. We got things we got to do. We got things we got to
Yeah,
do.
I bet the first sleep in a hotel bed.
I was out like a rock.
Yeah, I bet that
down.
was just like probably some of the best sleep you've ever had in your life.
I was like, what is this life? What is this life? Yeah, I mean, I was just, you know, as soon as I laid down, it was just like gone. I think I was, you know, I had a shower in an actual, like, you know, really nice hotel shower, and then hit the bed, and I was done for a little bit.
You didn't order a pizza right away?
No.
No breakfast?
I didn't have the energy to even dial the numbers at that point. The only thing I could think about was getting into some clean clothes, getting a shower, and just
passing out.
passing out. So
That's crazy. That's crazy.
He's like,
but you
room
ran
service, bring me 7 orders of pasta.
What was your time in Miami like?
so I think the time was around 5:04. So Miami was actually the first. I had the notion that I was going to try to do it in under 5 hours, but and the weather was good enough to do it. And initially, at the beginning of the race, I felt good enough to do it.
It was actually kind of
Under 5
chilly.
hours. Yeah, it was. Yeah, with the wind blowing.
Like you
it
go
off the
back to
ocean.
that, like I have a sleeveless shirt on and shorts, and I was cold. I was like, I'm freaking cold.
Yep.
And we're on South Beach,
Yep.
but it is, at the start of the race, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
in that picture, it was about 6:30.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the weather was conducive to it, but for the first time in Miami, I started to, of course, something had to flare up at some point. So I actually had quite a bit of hip pain.
Oh, wow.
In my left hip, which kind of slowed me down quite a bit during that race. So, just kind of working through that again, slowed me down, didn't get it in under 5 hours. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, why do I care? Like I'm getting ready to finish this thing.
Right.
So, I mean, this is again, just stay healthy, and it's not like a victory lap at this point. So.
You got the same medal
Got
for
the
finishing a few minutes slower. You know what I mean?
The same medal. The same medal, the same photo ops at the end.
Yeah.
None of that was going to change. So I'm like, dude, just be smart.
Yeah.
Be smart. Don't hurt yourself.
And crossed in Miami. I made a video. I wanted more of you crossing, so I made the video of you crossing. Mm-hmm. But I've got my phone up and I'm trying to get it going recording, but I could not get it off of picture. So I've like a picture or two that I took, and I didn't want to take them, and I was like, damn it. And by the time I got the video going, you had just crossed and literally threw the shirt over your eyes. Like you could tell there was a moment of relief.
Yeah,
when you crossed,
a moment of relief, a moment of emotion.
Sure,
I was in tears, and I don't give a damn who knows it.
No, right. Well, why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, I think I was. I mean, who am I kidding? I think I was kind of tearing up a little bit when I saw the finish line, just because of the gravity of all of it and kind of the weight that was lifted off my shoulders at that point. And it's just like, this is almost 2 years of my life that I dedicated to getting ready for this thing. And I think part of it was relief that it was done. It was satisfaction that it was done, but it was also, kind of the sense of, man, it's really over. It's kind of time to start thinking about the next thing. But I also wanted to enjoy the moment as well.
Katie wanted to make sure and comment that one of the three of us had a nap, and that would have been me.
Of course, that would have been you.
I definitely fell asleep in the car.
Okay.
But in fairness, they drew all over me.
Yeah.
Like, literally, our girlfriends drew all over me.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a tattoo.
I was a little
here.
delirious.
I had a tattoo here.
I was wondering what was on your arm in the picture. Was it on there?
Yeah. Trying to let's go back and see if we could see any of that. Let me get there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's a tattoo like kind of by you. That's a red one that says "Mom" in the middle of it, heart with an arrow through it. On the other arm, I had Katie, heart with an arrow through it. Jordan drew obscenities on my side here that you could see with my sleeveless shirt. Like
That's
it was
what Jordan
just,
does.
It was just, it was unbelievable. But at the same time, just a great time. There's no way I personally, as a spectator, would have rather had that go down. We got there, no sleep, doesn't matter. The times worked out. We saw everything.
Yep.
It was great. And what I got to know is, like, as I'm taking this video of you finishing and I'm looking back through the start finish line back toward the course that you ran on, and I take a look down there and I see literally the Miami Ocean Walk. But when you look back through there, it's the whole planet. Mm-hmm. Like it's literally the end of this massive journey where it's almost like a weird portal that once you've done something like you did, like it's got to look like so much more than just a view up the boardwalk.
Yeah, I will say breaking tape in Miami definitely felt, it's hard to describe, but it felt different.
Yeah.
Right. And it's easy to say that because it's the end. Right. But I mean, yeah, you're right. You do look back and it's like, heck yeah, man, I got you.
Yeah.
I did this. Right?
Yeah. Hell yeah, you did.
So there definitely was that feeling as well.
Yeah. It's insane to think that, when you first told me about this, it was insane to think about. Mm-hmm. You were like, I'm going to do this. This is what it is. And I was like, you're out of your freaking mind.
I thought I was out of my mind.
And then I know you did. We talked about it.
Yeah.
But you were so determined to do it, and you were so driven to do it, and there's a reason you did it.
Yes.
And I want to get into that now.
Okay.
We've talked about World Marathon Challenge. We've talked about recovery. How do you feel now?
I feel great now.
Did you have any lingering issues? Like your hip pain's gone?
Hip pain's gone.
No blisters?
No. So the blisters are gone. Thank you, Jordan, for that. But, the blistering wasn't that bad. So, I mean, a big part of the training actually was, really it's just knowing kind of like from head to toe, how does running that long of a distance impact you? And part of that is knowing like all the way down to like what part of your feet tend to blister the most.
Right.
And then, coming up with different ways to mitigate that. And I tried to do that as best I could along the way, but I mean, I still had a handful of blisters, nothing really that affected my running though, which is great. So no blisters, no hip pain, no knee pain. I was never really super sore. My calves got a little tight, and were a little tight for a couple of days afterwards, but I mean, they're pretty much back to normal now. So, overall, I was able to come out of it pretty unscathed, honestly.
Nice. Very cool.
But getting back to the why,
Yes.
one of the things that, so I guess to go back to like 2017, that's when the World Marathon Challenge first caught my attention. And I kind of looked at it as like, man, that'd be a really cool like bucket list item to do. But I knew at the time I never wanted to do it just for me, just kind of for my own reasons. Now I'm not going to like BS your listeners and tell you that the adventurous part of it and the travel and all that stuff wasn't a little bit of a draw, because it was.
Sure.
But that in and of itself wasn't going to bring me across the finish line in 7 continents. I really needed a profound why for doing this, and that why became the Freedom 13 organization.
Right.
And briefly, the Freedom 13 is an organization. It's a relatively new veterans organization, and their mission is to build recreational retreats, kind of like these Airbnb style retreats. They're trying to build one in each of the 50 states, and basically they are places where veterans and their families can go and connect with other veterans, spend time with family, engage in various outdoor activities like hunting and fishing and pickleball and hiking, things like that. And they've actually already purchased the land in Missouri to build the first retreat. So they're working on that right now. So that's very cool. It was established in honor of Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz. He was one of the 13 service members who was tragically killed in the Abbey Gate bombing in Kabul, Afghanistan back in 2021 during the final days of the U.S. withdrawal from the country. So this organization is meant to honor him and the other 12 service members who made the ultimate sacrifice that day.
Right.
In fact, at each of the retreats, they're going to build exactly 13 houses, one to honor each of those service members, again, who made the ultimate sacrifice.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That is completely awesome. So what kind of connection did you get with the Freedom 13 right away? Like, did you reach out to them and say, hey, I'm interested in helping. I want to do how did that go down? So,
yeah, I actually reached out to the founder, Mark Schmitz. Him and his wife, Jacqueline, founded the Freedom 13. So I actually reached out to Mark and I said, hey, I'm doing this thing. Once I knew for sure that I was going to do the World Marathon Challenge, I'm like, hey, I'm doing this thing and I want to do it for your organization. And I think, initially it just kind of started out as like, if you have any fundraising tips or anything that you can give me to kind of help me help you guys raise some money for this place, I'm all ears. But either way, I've chosen you guys. I'm all in with you guys. So whatever I can do to be the best ambassador, the best mouthpiece for this organization possible, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to put you guys, I'm going to try to do something to kind of put you guys on the world stage a little bit and hopefully at the very least get you guys some exposure.
Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool. So, I mean, with how receptive have they been to that? I mean, obviously, I'm sure they want every ambassador they can possibly get.
Yeah, incredible. Mark has been great to work with. We've been in communication quite a bit over this process. He actually, following the World Marathon Challenge, he put a little compilation of photos of me, just different photos from the challenge on his personal Facebook page and on the Freedom 13's Facebook page.
I noticed on the Freedom 13's Facebook page, they have a couple of things where they've talked about you and what you're doing and how cool it is.
Yep. So I tried to keep up with him along the way. And just try to keep him kind of in the loop.
Are you still in direct contact with him then?
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah.
And do you have any intentions? I mean, I'm sure you do, but talk about future intentions of work, things you plan on doing in the future for the Freedom 13.
Yeah. So I definitely, I wasn't sure coming into the challenge what my attitude toward running was going to be after completing the challenge. But looking at the success that it was and how well my body held up and all that, I would like to continue to run races in the future. And to the greatest extent possible, I want to make sure that I'm also working the Freedom 13 into those races as well. So, I'm always looking for new fundraising ideas, new
Sure.
ways to kind of work them in, to running as well, and, quite frankly, as long as I enjoy the process and I enjoy the training, I'll continue to run. But regardless of whether I continue to run or not, I look at the Freedom 13 as kind of being a lifelong commitment now.
Sure.
I want to continue the work with them and continue doing everything I can to help them.
That's awesome, man. That is so awesome. And again, I'm going to put this on the screen one more time. You can find the Freedom 13 at their website, www.thefreedom13.org. They also have a Facebook page and a published phone number if you want to contact for ways that you can help. It's area code 636-292-9712. You'll see that up on the screen. Very cool organization. Corey, I appreciate you and the work you've done for them and bringing them to my attention. A lot of people that I talked to about what you're doing that have followed the journey on Facebook have given, what they can give. And they've asked me for the link and they've asked me for, everything they can do.
Very cool and very much appreciated. Thank you to everybody who
just
has
to
contributed.
really provide. And I want to show just one more picture, because I feel like this deserves to be celebrated. And that's you with all of your medals and the Freedom 13 flag.
Yes.
Looks like that was taken in your driveway.
Yes, it was.
But so no photo credit on that, as I'm sure that was shot with an iPhone.
Well, no official photo credit, but
Sure.
we all know Jordan.
Shout out Jordan.
Yep.
Shout out Jordan. But very cool. So talk about your medals real quick, because I know there were a couple of places where you got multiple medals. So I know you've got obviously a race medal for every marathon you ran.
Yes.
But there were some additional medals too that went with that. And talk about those kind of.
Yeah, so in Dubai, the Expo Center just kind of randomly gave us like a World Marathon Challenge medal that they made specifically for that race.
We alluded to this kind of. They freaking have money lying around, so they're just like, give
so-
them medals.
Yeah,
What can we do?
Exactly. Here's some medals. And then the two that I actually have around my neck in that picture is that the one with the kind of white and blue ribbon, that is a medal for the Intercontinental Marathon Club. That is reserved for anybody who has done 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. And then, of course, next to it is the overall World Marathon Challenge finisher medal.
Very cool. So now I know there are other organizations that put on 777s.
Yeah, there is another race that's run in November. It's called the Great World Race, and they just got their start last year.
Very cool.
As well. So yeah, they do something very similar.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, dude, I know you got lots of applause. You got lots of support from anybody who heard anything about this, but let Tyler and I just give a little applause here for the Mind Snacks podcast crew.
Thank you.
Dude, I cannot tell you how thankful I am that you came and told this story tonight on our show.
Yep.
Finally got you in the freaking room.
Yeah, right. It's been a long time coming.
And yeah, man, I've been looking forward to doing this ever since you agreed to do it. I got the call on Monday. Corey's like, I got to go ahead. We're doing this. We're doing the pod. So
Yep.
we're here now. We're doing the
that
pod. And I know a lot of our people, our watchers on the Facebook are thank you, Beth. Beth said great podcast. Beth Lyons, appreciate you. Jordan, up in them comments. Nathan Query asked a question. He said, "What's the accessibility like for someone who may want to pursue this venture one day?" And I know Nathan is in a wheelchair.
Yeah, so that's a great question, actually.
Yeah.
So there have been both hand cycle and wheelchair athletes who have completed this challenge.
Okay.
So it is very accessible to really anyone that wants to take it on. There are ways to get that. And honestly, when you're dealing with Run Buck, again, when it comes to organization and logistics and making whatever accommodations are necessary, these people can do it. I really feel like they can do anything. So.
Very cool.
If you have a wheelchair or a hand cycle, don't feel like that this is not open to you. It certainly is.
Sure. And again, one more time, we'll put on the screen here the World Marathon Challenge, 7 marathons, 7 continents, 7 days. Of course, they have a website. Just Google World Marathon Challenge. I'm not exactly sure what the URL is. I feel kind of like a dork for not knowing.
It's just worldmarathonchallenge.com.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thanks for the save there.
Yeah, you got it.
But
here
the
for it.
World Marathon Challenge, 7 continents, 7 days. Now, Have they already made plans for the 2026 race?
Yes, registration for the 2026 race is now open, and I tell you what, just looking at the breakneck speed that we did this challenge, where they, it became obvious that they wanted to break the world record. All I can say is God help that 2026 class. Good luck to you. I'll be cheering you on, because if I know these personalities that run Buck like I think I know them, they're going to try to break it again next year.
Sure. Sure.
And I'm telling you, like, if anybody in the 2026 class happens to hear this and you want to hit me up for advice, things that I wish I had known before I went out on this journey, and just things to expect from a group of people who are going to push you to your limits, let me know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Heck yeah, man.
So,
dude, again, could not. I can't thank you more for coming here and doing this and just telling that story. A lot of people giving their congratulations in the comments. Thank you. One more time, good job. Greg's been here a while. Mary Hammonds, hello, how you doing, Mary? Congratulations. Dad called you an Iron Man.
Yeah. And
Dad's
one of the things
in the comments.
Just something I want to say. I haven't really had a chance to say it on here yet.
Yeah.
Is that, that collective energy that was coming from everybody in text and messages and comments and all that throughout the challenge. I felt that every step of the way. Everywhere that I went, every race has a point where you're just ready for it to be over. And every race had a point where it was difficult. And just to know that, I had all these folks, following along and had them in my corner and had them, saying, throwing all this positivity my way. I think that collective energy cannot be understated.
Sure.
And it really was a very, very motivating force.
That's awesome.
I heard somebody, I believe, who did this challenge back in 2019. He put it best. He said, make the cost of failure exceedingly high. And, when you put yourself out there on the world stage and you've got all these people that are kind of invested into it, what excuse do you have to quit at that point?
Sure.
The reason for you quitting, I told people going into this challenge, like, short of puking up blood or being on my deathbed, basically, that I was not going to quit on this thing. And, and everybody that got behind this gave me even more reason to just keep pushing and keep going. Even when it got difficult. So it's kind of a long-winded way of saying that. I just really appreciate everybody's support, and I felt that, and everybody had something to do with this. It was great.
Very cool, man.
Yep.
Well, again, everybody's applauding you. Very well done. Yeah, man. I don't know what else to say. Tyler, you got anything to say?
No, that's amazing. That's just a wild thing to even comprehend.
Yep.
It's cool what you did, but I think as goes with you, it's never just about what you're doing. There's always a why, and there's always some form you always drop in. So when somebody tells me that you hand wrote notes for everybody that was on the race, that doesn't surprise me. I know we joke about it and this and that. That doesn't surprise me. That's the man you are.
Yeah.
And man, I really appreciate you and being my kid brother and still to this day being one of my best friends. It's absolutely incredible.
Yep. And something else I'll add, just to anybody that's out there listening. Make a goal for yourself. I think every one of you out there, everybody out there is capable of so much more than they know. And it doesn't have to be running marathons around the world. It doesn't have to be running anywhere for that matter. I would encourage everybody to just find whatever your talent is, and take that talent and use it to make other people better. Use it to make this world a better place, because we need a lot more of that. And everybody comes with their own unique skill set,
Sure,
and their own unique talent. So just find whatever that is and use it as a way to do good and to really leave something behind in this world. We don't have a lot of time,
right,
to do that while we're here. I always say 100 to 200 years from now, nobody's gonna know my name, or nobody's gonna really care too much about what I accomplish here, in all likelihood. And that's not meant to be negative. It's just kind of the reality.
It's just the reality.
So then you think about, okay, well, what can I really do here to leave something behind, to be good for this world. And I think the answer for everybody is just find what you're good at, pursue it relentlessly, use it to make other people better,
right,
and use it to make the world a better place and make the world a little more positive to be in. So
sweet.
Yep.
Dude, what a message. We appreciate you.
You got it.
One more time, a little applause. Corey Burton, ladies and gentlemen, my younger brother, 2025 World Marathon Challenge finisher.
Yes.
Goal complete.
Yes.
Very cool. Now you get to go back to work.
Now I get to go back to I get to go back to real life. And I will say, some of the common sentiment among the runners that I've talked to is like, life kind of has a way of snapping us all back into reality.
Sure.
I think it's going to happen to all of us
110%.
at some point. So.
I was in Miami the other day.
Yeah, exactly.
I was on
right.
the beach. I was on the beach on a Friday morning. I did this past Friday morning. It worked.
Yep.
Or what I'm going to do this. Has it been another Friday?
No.
No. Yeah, I'm going to work this Friday. That's what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
That was supposed to
Work.
be smooth, and it was not. Tyler, you got anything you want to say before we go?
No. Just another congratulations to Corey.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, guys.
That's a huge feat.
It's an awesome challenge.
It's just, it's wild.
I want to say thank you again for giving us the opportunity to
it's a great
to be the platform
this
that
is a
you
great
choose
show.
to talk about this on.
Absolutely.
Great
And
episode.
I know you had interviews with some news stations and some real media. We're some low laying fruit in the media world, but we've been doing this for a long time, and we got a lot of great listeners. And I thought, how cool would it be if they all got to hear your story? And here we are.
Happy to tell it. And
Got it done.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Got it done. Really. All right. Well, guys, for Tyler, me, and Corey Burton, my name is Sean B. And this has been the Mind Snacks Podcast. Catch this show tomorrow on SpyTunes and IFI.
There you go.
On Spotify and iTunes. It'll be out there and uploaded and ready for you to listen at your leisure, wherever you'd like. Of course, the videos will stay up on YouTube and Facebook, and just keep encouraging everybody to give it a listen and really take away from a man who's really stretched himself beyond his own limits just to make the world a better place. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you later. How do I do a sick fade? It's been so long.
Sick fade.
Oh my God. Thanks again, guys.